On the Transformers' home planet of Cybertron, the inhabitants dwell in large metal cities. Before the war between the Autobots and Decepticons, the architecture was constructed by some of the most talented of builders. While the Decepticons have their team of Constructicons, one of the best architects on Cybertron is none other than the Autobot Grapple.
You're building my greatest creation. I'm so excited, I'm shorting my own circuits.
Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchasing some merch on my Teespring store today. The original Diaclone truck crane toy was a remolded variant of the toy line's fire engine toy and was based on the Mitsubishi Fuso. Hasbro initially intended to bring this truck into the first lineup of Transformers toys in 1984 under the name of Hauler. However, Hasbro decided to wait to release this toy with the second set of Autobot cars in 1985 under the name of Grapple. In his bio, as written by Bob Budiansky, Grapple is the Autobots' prideful architect. Before coming to Earth, his buildings on Cybertron were considered works of art. Equipped with a high-temperature arc welder rifle and with his powerful crane, Grapple can position objects with precision and grace. However, because of the war, his ideas are limited, and he suffers from severe bouts of depression if any of his buildings are destroyed in battle. Despite the name change, Hauler first appeared in the very first episode in truck mode, helping Ratchet and Cliffjumper pull Hound from a ditch.
Hauler! Autobot!
Since the decision was made to change the character after the episode was already being worked on, he never appeared again in the show. More on that later. In the two-part Season 2 episode Dinobot Island, Grapple was one of many new Transformers introduced without explanation as to where they came from. The details for that will have to be a discussion for another day.
Wing! Thank you!
Voiced by Peter Renaday, Grapple used his skills to help the Autobots construct weapons bunkers and temporary bases, and was extremely capable in battle as well.
Time to add fire to the fuel! I am burning up, I'm burning!
His powerful crane was frequently used to clear the rubble caused by battles with the Decepticons. He was also quick to complain if any of this destruction was done to one of his buildings.
My beautiful bunker's rubble! This'll teach you to bomb my buildings!
Since his toy shared the same mold as Inferno, the animators chose to give Grapple a modified orange head in the cartoon, with the exception being in the episode Auto Berserk, where it matched the toy's colors instead. In Grapple's spotlight episode, Master Builders, he designed a giant solar tower that could produce large amounts of energon. Hoping to get approval to get it built, Grapple and his closest friend, Hoist, presented it to Optimus Prime.
And just what does your doohickey do?
However, Optimus forbid its construction as there would be no way to defend it against the Decepticons. After repairing a wounded Power Glide, Hoist tried to console Grapple when both Autobots were confronted by the Constructicons, who were eavesdropping on their conversation.
And miss a chance to nail you? Never!
Tricking the gullible architect and his friend, the Constructicons convinced Grapple and Hoist that they had left the Decepticons, and they agreed to help construct the solar tower.
He stole them from Megatron. Is that proof enough?
It's energy enough to build your tower. Yes, my dream is coming true.
However, once the giant building was completed, Grapple and Hoist were betrayed.
Hoist, we're done. And we're done with you, Autobot fools!
As Devastator and Megatron locked the Autobots inside, Optimus Prime led a strike team against the Decepticons. Thanks to a little diversion from Smokescreen,
Hey, here I am, you scrap metal meatball!
the tower was destroyed by Devastator's foot.
Fire!
and the Decepticons retreated. After Brawn pulled them out of the wreckage, Optimus charged Grapple and Hoist with a rather fitting punishment.
Apologies accepted. Now we better get to headquarters for repairs, after which you'll return here to clean up this rubble by yourselves.
Grapple was most likely the architect in the construction of Autobot City, a massive base that uses natural resources to create large amounts of energon cubes. It was also the hub for the Autobot Titan, Metroplex, who was a character big enough to get a retrospective video in the future.
This planet's not big enough for the both of us.
In Transformers the movie, the Decepticons launched an all-out assault on Autobot City, and Grapple was last seen battling alongside Perceptor. While he was not listed among the casualties, Grapple was most likely left on Earth to help clean up and rebuild Autobot City as it became the Autobots' main base on Earth moving forward. In the Marvel Comics, 5 Autobots agreed to have their personalities and memories stored onto crystals that were stored on the Ark before the Autobots came to Earth. When Optimus Prime needed some warriors, new bodies were constructed by the Ark for Smokescreen, Skids, Trax, Hoist, and Grapple, whom were activated by Wheeljack using the crystals. While Bumblebee spent time teaching Smokescreen, Skids, Trax, and Hoist about Earth, Optimus Prime tasked Grapple alone with building the mighty Omega Supreme as the new Autobot defender of the Ark. With the new Guardian of the Gates protecting the Ark, the new Autobots helped Optimus Prime battle against the Decepticons long enough for Bumblebee to gather information on the combiner technology used to create Devastator. The Autobots quickly escaped and then used this knowledge to build the Aerial Bots and the Protectobots. Unfortunately, Grapple was quickly promoted to background character status as many new Autobots were introduced as the comics continued. In the UK exclusive stories, Grapple became the Autobots' medic when Ratchet had disappeared when Galvatron had time traveled back into the past. Since his toy was discontinued in 1986, Grapple simply vanished from the comics even before Starscream acquired the power of the Underbase, of which his close friend, Hoist, was among Starscream's victims. Grapple did return, however, in the Regeneration 1 comics, helping Hot Rod and his fellow Autobots to put a stop to the nefarious plot by the Decepticon Scorponok. In the Dreamwave comics, his expanded bio stated that he did not want to be involved in the Autobot-Decepticon war as he focused on his magnificent buildings. Only after one of his famous structures was destroyed in a battle was he angered at the pointless conflict and embarrassed it had taken that event and not the millions of innocent lives lost for him to finally join the Autobots. He was part of the resistance on Cybertron battling against the Decepticons when Shockwave had taken control of the planet. He accompanied the Autobots to Earth to start construction on Autobot City. However, the company went bankrupt before the stories could continue. While Grapple has been noticeably absent from various Transformers series after G1 ended, there are other Autobot builders that have made appearances, with some even bearing resemblance to the character. This included the Double Target Master, Quick Mix, the Micromaster Construction Team, and the Micromaster Erector. In 2001's Robots in Disguise, the Autobot build team consisted of Heavy Load, Hightower, Grimlock, and their leader, Wedge. They could combine to form Landfill. In Transformers Armada, a new orange Autobot that could transform into a boom truck was name-slapped as Smokescreen. While this was done to keep the name trademark, he was given a more fitting name, Grap, in Japan. When Megatron blasted Smokescreen point blank with the Requiem Blaster, the Autobot was completely rebuilt and given the name of Hoist.
Focus, gentlemen. Hoist, how does your new name fit your new reformatting?
It fits just fine, Commander.
However, the original G1 Grapple toy was reissued in the early 2000s. An eHobby exclusive redecoed Grapple in Constructicon green, naming the toy Road Hauler. His bio states that this was the same Hauler seen in the first episode of the cartoon More Than Meets the Eye. Back on Cybertron before the war, Hauler was one of the Transformers that had built Megatron and Crystal City. When his close friends, the Constructicons, were reprogrammed by Megatron's Robo-Smasher, Hauler joined the Autobots and came to Earth, taking on a paint job similar to Grapple as he assisted in rescuing Hound. Going back to his original green, Hauler was then tasked by Optimus Prime to scour the Earth for new sources of energy. The comics published by Fun Publications that were exclusive to the Transformers Collectors Club expanded upon Hauler's past, as he was present battling with the Autobots when Devastator attacked Diaclone back on Cybertron. The details for that I have covered previously. Grapple would finally receive a new toy in 2010 as part of the Transformers Universe line. Renamed Solar Storm Grapple for trademark reasons, and with a G1 toy-accurate black head, Grapple transforms into a crane truck resembling a Pierce Contender. He was then redecoed closer to his G1 cartoon colors in Takara's Transformers United toy line. This prompted his appearance in the IDW comics as part of the Lost Light crew, spending most of his time as a background character. Grapple's importance was enough to name drop him in Transformers Cyberverse.
Look at that workmanship. Grapple outdid himself with this statue.
And he received the Masterpiece treatment in 2017. Grapple finally has a new toy in the War for Cybertron trilogy's Earthrise toy line. Despite his lack of popularity, which contributes to this toy being a bit of a shell former, it is possible he may appear in the War for Cybertron trilogy cartoon on Netflix. Until then, we'll have to wait and see.
Say no more, Prime. Let's go, Grapple. The action will do us a world of good. Yeah, I suppose you're right, Hoist.
While he wasn't necessarily a fan favorite character, Grapple's importance to the Autobot cause cannot be understated. His skills as an architect have allowed him to build some of the best defensive structures the Autobots could hope for, especially when paired with Hoist.
Monumental, Grapple.
Yes, it's amazing what friends can do together.
Grapple strives for perfection in all that he does, even though he does get depressed if all he worked for is destroyed.
Someday I want to build something that doesn't get trashed.
Despite this, Grapple continues to use his creativity to help the Autobots win, so that he can one day create wonderful works of art once again.
I must find a place to sign my name in very large letters.
But what do you think? Will Grapple's skills continue to be overlooked, or will his value be recognized in a future Transformers series?
I'm sure he'll be impressed.
Well, if he's not impressed, I'll be depressed.
And whatever happened to Hauler? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. I'd like to thank my patrons and my channel members for your continued support. I have many more Transformers discussions and retrospectives like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.
He shoots, he scores, what a star!